Blood Falling from the Dark. Episode 4. The hammer shook in Drew's hand. Thunk. Another nail buried into the board across the window. Outside, darkness swallowed the neighborhood one house at a time. Thick clouds rolled across the sky, covering the moon, while thin streams of fog drifted between homes and abandoned cars. The fog had returned, not as thick as the night before, but enough. Enough to hide things. Inside the house, candlelight flickered against the walls, while Drew shoved the couch against the front door. Every downstairs window had been boarded shut, except for a few narrow cracks to look through. The battery-powered radio beside him hissed endlessly with static. No military, no rescue, no explanation. Just static. Tamberla climbed down from the attic ladder carrying blankets and bottled water. "We got enough supplies for a couple days," she said softly. Drew nodded without looking at her. He stood near the boarded window, staring through a crack into the darkness outside. The neighborhood was dead silent. Too silent. Then, a scream shattered the night. Drew froze. Another scream followed immediately after. Closer. A woman this time. Gunshots cracked somewhere down the street. Tamberla slowly looked toward the door. Then came a sound that made Drew's stomach tighten. Wings. Massive wings beating somewhere above the neighborhood. Not birds. Something bigger. Something hunting. Boom! Something slammed onto the roof overhead. The entire house shook violently. Dust drifted from the ceiling. A wet splatter hit the front window. Then another. Drew slowly stepped closer. Blood. Fresh blood running down the glass. Then a mutilated human arm slid slowly across the window outside. Tamberla covered her mouth. More impacts echoed nearby. Bodies. Pieces of bodies. Falling from the sky. The wing beats continued circling overhead. Slow. Patient. Drew backed away from the window. "We're going to the attic!" Another scream exploded outside. This one sounded close enough to be right across the street. "Help!" A man screamed next. "Please!" Tamberla looked toward Drew immediately. "No," he said firmly. "If that was us out there, it ain't us. We can help them. We can die with them too." Another gunshot cracked outside. Then horrible laughing followed it. The same laughter from the night before. The vampires. Tamberla grabbed her pistol. "I'm not sitting in here listening to people get ripped apart." "Tamberla." She moved toward the door. Drew cursed under his breath before grabbing his own gun. "Damn it!" Before opening the door, Drew grabbed 2 flashlights from the kitchen counter and tossed one to Tamberla. Then he hurried onto the porch and jammed several tiki torches into the soaked ground around the walkway and driveway. His lighter flicked. Whoosh! Orange flames sprang to life one by one. The firelight danced through the fog while Tamberla clicked on her flashlight. The narrow beam cut through the darkness ahead of them. It wasn't enough to stop the night. Just enough to see it coming. The neighborhood beyond looked like hell. The orange glow from scattered tiki torches flickered across abandoned homes and blood-covered streets, while flashlight beams cut through drifting fog. Front doors hung open. Blood-covered driveways. People ran screaming between houses, while pale creatures dragged survivors into the darkness. The vampires. Their mouths stretched unnaturally wide with rows of jagged teeth slick with blood. One crouched over a man feeding from his throat in the middle of the street. Another slammed a screaming woman through a car window. A third slowly turned toward Drew. Its eyes reflected orange in the torchlight. Smiling. Its teeth were completely red. Then more shapes emerged from the fog. Drew raised his pistol. "Get back inside!" The creature lunged. Bang! Its head snapped sideways. The body collapsed instantly. Tamberla fired beside him as another vampire sprinted across a lawn on all fours. Bang! The creature rolled violently before instantly climbing back up. Oh, God. The head! Drew yelled. Another vampire launched toward them. Drew fired through its eye. The creature collapsed, twitching. Then more appeared. 5. 10. Too many. Bodies continued falling from the sky around them. A torso smashed through a windshield nearby. Blood rained from above in thick, warm drops, splashing through the orange torchlight. And overhead, those wings, circling, watching. Huge shadows passed across the clouds above them. The vampires rushed all at once. Gunfire exploded through the street. Bang! 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 Muzzle flashes lit the darkness. Tamberla screamed as one nearly grabbed her. Drew shot it through the skull at the last possible second. Another vampire tackled him against a mailbox. Drew fired point blank into its face. Black blood sprayed everywhere. Then click. Drew froze. Empty. Tamberla's gun clicked too. The vampires slowed around them, laughing, smiling wider, blocking every direction. One tilted its head unnaturally. Out of bullets. Drew shoved Tamberla behind him. The creatures crept closer through flickering torchlight. Bodies continued falling around them. One vampire hissed, while another stared hungrily at Tamberla. Then they charged. Drew swung wildly. His fist smashed into one vampire's mouth, hard enough to break teeth. Another grabbed him from behind. He elbowed it violently. Tamberla screamed while kicking another in the chest. The creatures piled onto them, laughing. Then, something crashed into the middle of the street. Fast. Violent. An axe split a vampire's skull before the others even reacted. Another lost its head completely. A third got slammed into the pavement with bone-crushing force. The figure moved like an animal, large, savage, covered partly in fur. Jagged teeth gleamed through blood-covered lips. Its glowing yellow eyes reflected through the fog and firelight. Jax. He buried the axe into another creature's chest before ripping it free in a spray of blood. The vampires backed away immediately. Confused. Afraid. Jax roared. The sound shook the street. Not human. Predatory. Ancient. The vampires scattered backward into the fog. Jax turned toward Tamberla and grabbed her arm, helping her up before pushing her back toward Drew protectively. Then he stepped between them and the remaining vampires. His shoulders rose. Fur spread thicker across his arms and neck. He roared again. Every vampire fled. Silence hit the street. Drew stared at him in disbelief. "What the hell are you?" A deafening screech ripped across the sky. Every tiki torch suddenly bent sideways from the force of the wind. Jax's eyes widened instantly. "Move!" Too late. The winged vampire exploded from the darkness above them. Massive bat wings unfolded across the entire street, blocking out torchlight as it swooped downward. The creature was enormous, humanoid, pale stretched flesh over monstrous muscle. Its jaws opened impossibly wide, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. Unlike the others, it showed no fear of fire. Before Drew could react, it snatched Tamberla. She screamed as the creature launched skyward. "Drew! No!" Jax leaped straight upward with impossible speed, swinging the axe with both hands. "Swing!" Missed! The axe flew from his hands and crashed into the street below. But Jax kept going, clawing upward after the creature, even as it disappeared into the fog, carrying Tamberla. Her screams echoed through the darkness. Drew grabbed the axe instantly. "Tamberla!" and ran. He sprinted through wrecked streets while vampires poured from alleys and shattered homes toward him. The flashlight beam bounced wildly through the darkness as Drew, hacked through every creature in his path. The axe split skulls, buried into faces, chopped through necks. One vampire lunged at him from a car roof. Drew decapitated it midair. Another tackled him into the pavement. He buried the axe into its skull over and over until it stopped moving. Still he ran. Still he screamed her name. Tamberla! Her screams grew weaker. Farther away. Then, gone. Drew kept running anyway. Desperate. Breathing hard. Crying now. Then his foot caught on a corpse. He crashed violently into the pavement, and the flashlight skidded across the street, spinning wildly. The axe slid from his hand. Dazed, Drew struggled to rise. Then he saw a figure approaching slowly through the fog. Huge, bloody, Jax. Only now, he looked less human. More fur covered his body. His clothes stretched tightly across growing muscle. His glowing yellow eyes pierced through the darkness. And in his arms, Tamberla, still, lifeless. Drew's face collapsed. No. Jax walked slowly toward him. Pain filled even his monstrous features. He knelt carefully and handed Tamberla's body to Drew. The flashlight beam illuminated the wound on the side of her neck. Ripped open, blood soaked her shirt. Drew fell to his knees, holding her tightly. No. No, no, no. His voice broke completely. Jax stood silently over them, breathing heavily. Finally, in a rough, rasping voice, he said, "I'm sorry." Drew let out a scream so raw it echoed through the entire neighborhood. Then, a screech answered in the distance. Jax immediately turned toward the sound. His body lowered into a defensive posture. A deep, guttural growl rumbled from his chest. Without taking his eyes off the darkness, Jax said, "She's gonna become one of them."